Hello and welcome to the 7th edition of the Economic Times Asian Business Leaders Conclave 2023 that is themed around the Asian century, creating a new world order.
Big question coming your way as to what is driving Asia's technological rise.
Digital transformation is completely transforming business models across business functions and industry verticals. As a business leader, do you see this as an opportunity or a threat? And how do you deal with it?
I'll give a simple example from 20 years back. This is when the microprocessor was doubling in speed every 18 months, and this company invented this technology which could take a microprocessor and break it into parts of 8. And somebody went to the Intel CEO and said, "I've got this software that breaks up your processor into parts of 8, and we want you to fund us." And the CEO looked at him and said, "I'm going to sell less chips, and why should I spend money on you?" The number of chips that Intel has sold since that technology revolution is about 1 million times more than what we thought was going to happen. So for every one of these technologies that come up, I think what you will see is there will be a new class of use cases that, of course, will improve automation, improve productivity, efficiency, but I don't necessarily see that being a detractor. I think the companies that are able to evolve and take advantage of these technological innovations are the ones that I think will stay ahead.
This year, the Asian Business Leaders Conclave was conducted in a hybrid format with some virtual thought-provoking panel discussions and the guest address by Jyotiraditya Scindia. Let's dive in.
We are amidst one of the most challenging times in the history of humankind. A lot has been upended, and the world is calling for a new order. The West is in a dizzying tailspin. Europe continues to struggle with a war that has put a question mark on the global economic and social order, while also dealing with the issues of climate change alongside with this challenge. There is no doubt that our future calls for a reinvention across the spectrum. It needs a deeper consideration of the needs of all humankind and a collaborative and inclusive approach to commerce and business. I strongly believe that this reinvention can and will originate from the land of the world's earliest civilizations, Asia. We in Asia belong to a region that has pioneered many practices that have been integral to societies for centuries.
Welcome to our panel discussion on addressing global energy transition and energy security needs for a sustainable future. Our panelists in this session will assess the current status, future prospects, challenges, technologies, and investment opportunities in renewable energy for a sustainable future.
Another part, of course, is an integrated utility, and it is seeing all these facets. It's at the receiver's end, it is into evacuation of infrastructure, and it is also a developer. So, having seen the entire gamut of the business, how do you view the system evolving?
I think being an integrated player helps us. It has its own pluses and minuses. Every business has their own pluses and minuses. I think having our manufacturing line from the last 30 years has actually helped us to understand and upgrade on the technology part, that how critical it is for the technology. It's not only to backstop all the risk which comes from when we are buying rather than what we are making, but also the criticality of the technology, which is very, very important for us.
I would move on to my next panelist, Mr. Simon Staub. What do you think are some of the best practices that you're seeing in this region, and what, according to you, are some of the top challenges that you think we need to overcome to effectively address the energy transition issues and navigate that successfully?
India has achieved some very impressive things on the back of very strong policy stance. And let's break that down a little bit. The government has set very substantial targets. First, 175 gigawatts by 2022, now 450 gigawatts by 2030, and has signaled the market that it's going to stand behind the sort of expansion that we want to see within the renewable sector. And let's not forget that energy transitions are about more than just the renewables energy sector. The government has also now flowed some of this public support into battery storage, into e-mobility, and has now just recently announced a green hydrogen mission and very significant production-linked incentives planned in that area. Having that strong policy platform helps us rally around a government's targets and plans and provide support to what ultimately is required. And that's an investment environment that attracts private sector and private capital.
Stefan, you being the expert in green hydrogen, we would definitely like to talk to you about green hydrogen. So how do you look at this sector in India between now and 2030 and beyond?
There's a very big interest in the upcoming green hydrogen industry in India. You talked about the mission of India. So the goal is to produce 5 million tons of green hydrogen in 2030, which means a capacity of 50 gigawatt of electrolyzers. That's a huge amount regarding the fact that the global capacity of electrolyzers at the moment is around 5 gigawatt. So in this point, India can play a good role.
Two big enablers in this process of energy transition. So if you see, one is availability of requisite skills. Obviously all these technologies and the way we are moving requires, and the jobs will be new, the roles will be new. So it requires different kinds of skill sets. So how will those skill sets be available?
Yeah, just in terms of availability of skills in India, we have now more than 10% of our workforce already in India with a technology center. So our global products for the global market are developed in India, or for big content developed in India. The skill sets are absolutely available. So this means engineers, IT, battery specialists. We have been surprised ourselves how many people are actually really skilled in that context. So India is the last place where I wouldn't expect to see skills. They're all there. You can't imagine a better place than India.
Chief guest Ashish Kumar Singh stressed on the role of government in building economic resilience and delivering inclusive development.
The role of government in building economic resilience and delivering inclusive development is a critical issue that affects every aspect of our lives, from the economy to the social fabric of our communities. While ensuring that the benefits of that growth are shared fairly and equitably, it is essential that we re-examine the policies and strategies that governments can adopt to promote inclusive development, including investments in education, infrastructure, and social protection. We also need to understand the challenges that governments face in delivering economic resilience and inclusive development, including the need to balance competing interests and priorities, and to navigate complex political and social dynamics. At the heart of all this discussion is the recognition that governments have a critical role to play in shaping the future of our economies and societies. Unfortunately, across the world, and more so in Asia, economic growth is often more exclusive and less equitable. What we need today is a system that is inclusive, that is participatory, and that is based on incentives, and that is capable of being flexible and adapting to change. There is a dire need for governments to create an enabling environment that promotes equal opportunity for innovation, entrepreneurship, and adaptability. Economic resilience refers to a country's ability to withstand and recover from economic shocks and disruptions, while inclusive development, on the other hand, refers to the process of ensuring that all members of society have equal access to economic opportunities and benefits. Both of these factors are crucial for long-term economic growth, social harmony, and overall systemic stability. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your patient hearing.
Well, thank you very much, sir, firstly for joining us this evening and for sharing your valuable thoughts. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, I have requested Ashish ji to please remain on the stage as we're about to get started with the felicitations. Now, before we do so, we also have a minute to unveil the coffee table book. This particular coffee table book actually encompasses the success stories of some of the leaders. You know, they've managed to share their stories, and we managed to get their consent in order to feature their stories in the form of a coffee table book. So I'm going to be requesting our guest of honor to please click this clicker over here so that we can go ahead and unveil the coffee table book. Round of applause. There you go, the coffee table book.
Welcome back. It's now time to recognize and felicitate leaders who are changing the face of Asia through their innovative business ideas.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that, our next leader to be felicitated this evening, Ravindra Kumar Goyal, Managing Director, Kalyani Steels Limited. Can we have a round of cheer for the man of steel himself?
You know, business environment is becoming more and more volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. As a leader, it becomes imperative that we continuously scan the environment, aware about technological advancements, and make the organizations innovative, R&D focused, and develop products for the future. As a country in India, which is largely dependent on fossil fuel imports, once we are continuously focusing on it, then we will become self-dependent or independent of imports, and it will also see our foreign exchange improve our climate.
To be felicitated this evening, ladies and gentlemen, Ivo Metzeler, Managing Director, Presto Dry Cleaning and Laundry Private Limited. A super duper round of applause for Ivo Metzeler.
It doesn't matter what you do, but how you do it. And that how you do it becomes more and more important. And that is especially how you deal with people, how you look after your staff, and especially after difficult times, the importance of professional and personal well-being becomes critical, so that you can ensure that your people are passionate, and also live up to the performance standards.
Most promising business leaders of Asia. That brings us to the next name. Let's hear it for Thiru S. Krishnan, Managing Director and CEO, Tamil Nadu Mercantile Bank. Can we have a nice round of applause there, ladies and gentlemen, for Thiru S.
Krishnan? Today, what the millennials need is the banking and not the bank. They don't need the bank, but they need the banking. If that being the case, the digital plays a major role. In that scenario, the leadership, what is expected is a leader who has excellent insight. I will say that a very tech-savvy person, having flair to take it forward, to digitize, particularly in country like India, where we have a lot of legacy banks. And by and large, now almost all the banks are turning around. towards the digital.
Well, these are the leaders that are inspiring us mighty much. So let's go ahead and invite the next name that's being felicitated, Shri B. Ramesh Babu, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Karur Vysya Bank.
Environment is a key area which businesses need to focus upon. Manufacturing processes need to be further refined to have lesser or no impact on the environment. Likewise, service organizations, including banks, they need to invest in renewable energy sources, use the renewable energy and migrate their customers to digital so that the paper usage can come down. CSR is another good practice where the corporates can give back to the society. So CSR investments in education, healthcare and sustainable agriculture will have a greater impact in reducing the inequalities and for bringing out a better society.
Moving ahead, Rajat Agrawal, Managing Director, Gravita India Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, Rajat Agrawal. Can we have a long round of cheer there?
India is taking a paradigm shift from unorganized sector to the organized sector for the recycling or sustainable business. Government of India have come up with the extended producer's responsibility, battery management handling rules, and a lot of new initiatives are being taken care of. And the industry, they are a step ahead to take care of the sustainable business, not only environmentally sound manner, but also commercially viable, creating a lot of opportunities domestically and globally. So we are in the front runner, being India as an emerging market for the recycling and sustainable economy happening in the country. So we are at the right time, at the right spot of the business of doing right recycling for the society and environment.
Time now to invite the next name, making it to the most promising business leaders of Asia list. And our next leader is Narendra Surana, Chairman and Managing Director, D-Dev Plastics Industries Limited.
The most disruptive policies and the things which will shape the future of Asian economy is the manufacturing and the production of power, whether it is a hydrogen power, solar power, or wind power, whatever it is. As the world might have seen that when the war between Ukraine and Russia erupted, the prices of gas, it skyrocketed, and everybody was looking for alternate energy. But Asia was one specific region which did not hanker for power. They were not going helter-skelter, rather they were power sufficient. And the entire manufacturing, because of the many factors, and even times to come, maybe 21st century, 22nd century, will belong to Asian specific only because of manufacturing and the power generation.
So on that note, we have Shri Ashish Kumar Singh to felicitate the most promising business leaders of Asia. That brings us to the next name, Rohit Chandra, Managing Director and CEO, OMC Power.
Business that we run is an extremely difficult business. It is rural, it is renewables and infrastructure as applicable to rural India. And the style of leadership that we practice is leading from the front. We focus a lot on our team. 5% of the team, which makes 80% of the difference, and we make sure that we understand the fundamentals of our business. And there are three things which are very, very important: cash flow, cash flow, and cash flow.
Moving ahead, I now invite Himanshu Tandon, Country Head, POCO India. And we have a louder round of applause. Let's also hear it for the next name, making it to the most promising business leaders of Asia, Himanshu Tandon, Country Head, Coco India.
We have been expecting this 5G transition, 4G to 5G transition for a while. So that's why from a last year point of view, we have made our portfolio 5G ready. So we have 5G products in all the price brackets, 10 to 15K, 15 to 20K, 20 to 25K, and about 25 to 30K. So we have created a 5G ready portfolio. In fact, from a future perspective, right, most of the products that we are going to launch above 10K would be 5G products, right? Second most important thing, this 4G to 5G transition can happen quickly because of the tariff rates, right? These OEM, if these telecom players reduces the price of tariffs, the 5G adoption will go high. Third most important thing is at a certain price point, that's above 12K, the 5G has become a hygiene in the market. This 4G to 5G transition will certainly help the industry to grow.
On that note, the next name, it's time to invite on stage Vikas Anand, Managing Director, DHL Supply Chain India Private Limited.
Three key trends that are going to shape the future of logistics in India are investment by the government in infrastructure. Number two, India being a manufacturing hub for the world. And number three is growth in e-commerce. And the 500 million euro investment by Deutsche Post in India are to leverage our strengths around that. Within DPDHL, the leadership traits that leaders typically use are head, heart, and guts. And for me, the leadership trait around leveraging strengths is very close to my heart.
All right, then let's move on and invite the next leader, Vikram R. Singh, founder and CEO, Antia Solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, Vikram R. Singh.
Leadership is not a designation, right? So, and it's more of an inspiration, right? When your actions and behavior can inspire others to follow you, right? That's what the leadership is. And as far as the strategy is concerned, I would say you need to be very much aware about the kind of people you have around, right? And people kind of grab the message in maybe 4 different styles. Like one is how you can structure your communication for particular people, for particular set of peoples, do they need guidance, do they need direction, do they need motivation, and most of them would need the inspiration, right? So if you can have that kind of develop that kind of communication style, that is very much important to lead the people. So we need to make sure that our people make progress in their career while they are working with you.
Hear it for the next leader, Vivek Lohia, Managing Director, Jupiter Wagons. Can we have a huge round of cheer?
So as a leader in this sector, I think the most important aspect is to bring world-class technology and at a sustainable manner. So that is the initiative which we are taking in this company. So going forward, the new products which you are introducing in terms of brake systems, which are for high-speed trains, for freight trains, these are brake systems which are in line with what the world uses, and which is going to be made in India for India and for the global market. Similarly, the freight trains which we are currently making, they are for the Indian market as well as for the global market.
So with that leader to be felicitated this evening, ladies and gentlemen, A. Vikram Joshi, Managing Director and CEO, Y. Please put your hands together.
We started with the campaign, Say No to Bottled Water. See, roughly for the first 4 or 5 years it was tough, but later on the activism worked. For us to be profitable and to be successful, it is essential that we should have a very, very different client base where we can offer good numbers to them. So we started, and today 90% of the top corporates are with us. We have a pretty strong market base, and by doing so, they are not only saving water, they are saving CO2 emissions, and we reduce their carbon footprints, we reduce their water footprints, and by doing so, that we feel that we are probably very uniquely positioned as being an activist company with profits. We are not for profit, we are for profits, and still we are an activist company.